So once again, comrades, revolutionary greetings from wherever you're joining us. My name is Comrade Pidgino Dimwengu. Of course, I co-chair the class Consciousness. Consciousness is a philosophical and ideological class, and consciousness is the philosophy and ideology that was prescribed, the Pan-African philosophy and ideology that was prescribed to us or left to us by Kwame Nkrumah. This philosophy and ideology is actually meant to decolonize Africa, and actually with three main options. One is the total liberation of Africa, the total unification of Africa, and total development of Africa. As you can see, the previous video we were playing before you joined us, Nkrumah discussed about basically the unification of Africa. And he was urging his fellow members who are present then in Addis Ababa to ensure that they come out of Addis with a proper unified Africa. An opportunity that he won that if we fail to meet it then, it will cost us a lot. And indeed, it costed us a lot and still costing us today. He says in that speech that if they fail that generation to unite Africa, the coming generation will never forgive them. We are not bitter with them, but we are taking the responsibility to achieve or attain whatever they've not attained. And therefore, it's our duty and our responsibility as people and progressive Pan-Africans to study the steps that were prescribed and put down by Kwame Nkrumah in order to attain the unity of Africa, the liberated Africa he envisions. So, comrades, once again, permit me to welcome you all to our today. And this is our main class, the Thursday class that takes place every Thursdays. We've been doing this close to over 1 year. In fact, by June, we will be marking another 1 year of the second phase of our reading. After the first phase started over 10 years, some met physically, there was some interjection between, but they finally finished the first phase in 2023. And now we started the second phase of rereading the book. So basically, that's what we do every day. We read the book. So we've been reading this book for a period of time, comrades. We started by the introduction. This is a book that has 5 chapters. So we are going chapter by chapter and paragraph by paragraph. We started the introduction. We went to the chapter 1, the philosophy, and in retrospect, Nkrumah takes us back to understand the philosophy and takes us back to our universe. And he asks us key questions. What is our universe made of? And how what our universe is made of came to be. And these are the main philosophical questions that we meet. And Nkrumah says that there are only 2 ideologies. Those who believe that the universe is made of ideas and spirits, whom they are called idealists. And those who believe that the universe is made up of matter, and those are called materialists. In our class, consciousness takes the position, or consciousness itself, the philosophy and ideology takes the position of philosophical materialists, or philosophical materialism. We are not hardcore materialists, neither are we any hardcore idealists. We believe that the universe is made up of matter and spirits. But we believe that matter is the primary or the soul, the primary reality, and the spirits and anything else that come from the universe come and originate from matter. They are just different categories of matter, either in spirits, in thinking, in minding, in everything else, in air, whatever we breathe. They're just categories of matter. And therefore we believe the most important thing is our material well-being, our material possession, our land and everything else. And that anything else that come out of, whether you call it joy, happiness, sadness, those are things that come from our primary matter. For example, if I give an example, when a nation goes under poverty, suffering and everything else, if they don't take care of the land or their material well-being, then they can never be happy at all. Because from land sprouts everything. They can be joyous, they can be developed, they can enjoy anything they want. But if they forget about their land and their resources they have and take the aspect of idealists, who then pray and believe that spirits and ideas and gods are controlling us, and that our poverty is either God-made, that our problems or suffering is either spiritual, and that if we don't, or if we walk spiritually right, then everything else will be given unto us without or with no forgetting, without giving much attention to the what is already endowed on them. As Africa, the land and the resources and the mineral we are endowed to. If we don't take in consideration on them and forget about that there will be an intervention coming from somewhere, we will lose everything. The West know the resources we are endowed with, and they come here to make all the wealth that can give them everything they want. Even if they go to prayers, they have money already. But we forget and not take care of the resources and the welfare we have, and go to pray with them, dance with them, sing with them, then go back home hungry. But then they've already made their wealth from the material possession we have as a people. So we believe that matter is a primary reality, and the spiritual or ideas are categorical conversions, or they are derivative forms of matter. We understand things to do with what you call dialectical materialism or dialectics. We've gone through what you call conversion, which is categorical conversion. We understand so many things like derivatives. We've gone through all those aspects of either the theism, apatheism. We've learned through inside and outside thesis. We've gone so many other issues, including empiricism and rationalism. We look at conceptual or philosophical conceptual tools like constructionism, reductionism, and nominalism. We look at the scientific aspects of all this we covered in the first chapter. And we arrived that our universe is a natural universe. And the universe is made up of matter as its basic reality. And that's what I want to take you back to look at the first chapter of our class, the last chapter. This was the last chapter, the last paragraph of that chapter, which says that our universe is a natural universe, not spiritual universe or ideas universe. It's a natural universe, and its basis is matter with its objective laws. So we came from that, and then we started now looking at the chapter 2, which is now the philosophy and society. Kuma take us to understand and study the society. How is philosophy related to society? How is our society is? And we've gone through this in the previous 3 or 4 classes, and now we are going on with our studies from where it starts with the word empiricism. So this marks the start of our class today, moving forward. This is the first chapter of the class we'll be starting today, starting with this chapter here on empiricism. Then we'll proceed until where time will allow us to do. So once again, comrades, feel most welcome. Those will be joining us later, feel still most welcome. And we believe that you'll enjoy our sessions and get in touch with us. We have, of course, normal members here who have become almost part of our club, like DJ Mr. P, permit me to recognize your presence. Brother Carrington, permit me to recognize your presence. Brother Joseph from the Caribbean. We have Sister Pamela. We have Brother Coco. We have now Honorable Madondo. Brother Isaac, those are a few members, new members who are joining us. Simon Chibi sometimes join us a little bit. But all of you, Amon, our new member from Uganda, feel most welcome. We appreciate your presence. So permit us to continue our classes today. Maybe you can say hello or hi to us. Thank you.
Hello, members of the class.
Hello, comrade. It's a pleasure to have you around from Uganda.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have our sister Myra, who is also from the same colonial territory called Uganda, but she's out there, and she's a member of our class. She's not here today, but she passed her apologies for this class. Thank you very much.
Hello, members. Greetings, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you, and I hope I will be part of the class and contribute as much as I can. Have a good discussion and listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon Chibi, comrade from, of course, Zimbabwe, if I'm not wrong. It's a pleasure having you. Sometimes we also have members from Zimbabwe here with us. Thank you. Yes, Elder Joseph, I see you. I see Brother DJ Mr. P and Brother Carrington. So basically,
yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good night, everyone. Nice being here once again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, Joseph. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, Pigman. Yeah, greetings, everybody. Great to be back here on the regular Thursday session.
Thank you very much. Greetings, Brother DJ Mr. P. Yes, if there's no any other person to say anything, permit us to go straight to our class. Now, basically, what we do every day is that we read a paragraph. Then once we read a paragraph, we ask you to share your thinking. This is a class where we allow you to work on your thinking, develop your critical thinking, and let us understand how do you understand the Nkrumah's text? Welcome, Brother Rafael Paul, comrade from the Grenada. It's a pleasure having you around, comrade. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, feel most welcome, comrade. It's a pleasure having you around. Yes, so what we do is, I've said we start with this paragraph, empiricism. I don't know if my highlights will be okay. Yes, so this is the paragraph we are starting today on empiricism. So we'll go down to that. But as I've said, what we do is we read a paragraph, then go around to members present. We ask you, can you share your thinking on how do you understand that text? And if there's a way you can connect it to our problems or to solutions to what we go through as a people, then you're free to do that. But before I do that, I would like to read the previous paragraph as a whole. Then now I'll ask or call DJ Mr. P to help read this paragraph, and then we can start our sharing. So in the previous paragraphs, we read this paragraph starting with the word according. It says, according to this notion, and the notion starts up a bit, that makes me to start up. It says, suitably, therefore, the chief concern of philosophy continued to be an elucidation of the nature of God, of the human soul, of human freedom, and of kingdom concepts. According to this notion of philosophy, when the primary concerns of human life are differently conceived, then philosophy reveals a different bias. And as society becomes differently organized, philosophy is differently conceived. During the European Renaissance, when man became the center of the universe, the human mind and the way in which it might fix the limits of what is real became the chief topic of philosophy. There was a growing attempt to identify what could be with what could be known. And this tendency later attained its sublets and most definitive statement in the critical philosophy of Kant. The rise of rationalism was indeed one whole stream of thought which kept reality firmly within the lights of human reason, until in the writings of Leibniz, processes became to be mere analogous in nature of logical relations. In this way, the limits of the human understanding came to be identified with the limits of nature. This idea survives today in the notion that logically there are no mysteries, that to every question there's an answer, and that there's nothing on earth, beneath the waters, or in heavens above, which is in principle unknowledgeable or unknowable. So let's go, that was what we read in the last class. So let's go to our paragraph for today. DJ Mr. P, if you are in a position, kindly read for us the paragraph from today.
Thank you, brother. Empiricism, too, was, despite its antagonism to rationalism, a reflection of man's conception of his own position in the scheme of things. It, too, sought to make the limits of what is real coincide with the limits of human understanding. For it tended to regard what is real exclusively in terms of impressions upon our senses.
Thank you for that. So that is almost a continuation about where we talk of the rise of rationalism, which then led to the idea that this idea survives today in the notion that logically there's no mysteries in the universe. So here we are arriving at empiricism. And it says, empiricism too was, despite its antagonism to rationalism, a reflection of man's conception of his own position in the scheme of things, it too sought to make the limits of what is real coincide with the limits of the human understanding. For it tended to regard what is real exclusively in terms of impressions upon our senses. Brother Carrington, can you open for us the discussion today, please?
How are you, Brother PJ?
I'm fine.
Yes, I hope everyone is okay. I hope, Brother Pigeon, you're staying safe in the flats. I hope things are okay and the situation at home is stable.
Yeah, my place is not flooding. I'm at a upper side of Nairobi.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the wealthier side, eh?
Not wealthier, upper side, not wealthier.
Okay.
Not wealthier.
Okay. Yes. So first, for us to understand this paragraph, we must first understand why empiricism is in antagonism to rationalism. We need to understand that. What is empiricism first? Empiricism was a position developed in Europe and other cultures, by the way, that everything that we could know about the universe, everything that we could know about the environment must be measurable. That there must be some physical effect of anything we want to understand about the universe. If not, we cannot prove, we cannot understand, we cannot control, and therefore it cannot exist. The existence of these things must be measurable. Okay. So this is the first step. Why is it in opposition to rationalism? Rationalism is the idea that you can understand your environment, the universe, everything, purely by using your mind, tradition from Greek culture. And these two things are in opposition because one is saying you must contend with the environment, and another says that your mind is enough. But nonetheless, Kwame Nkrumah is saying something here, that in the limit, in their aims, in their ultimate aims, both rationalism and empiricism, right, aim to say that all that we can know is accessible to us. Now, how we access everything that can be known is a debate here, either through the mind or through the instrument or the senses. Let's put it at the senses. In any case, instruments, telescopes, microscopes, these things we learn learn about in high school and primary are extension of our senses. They are amplifications of our senses. So that's the first step. Therefore, while there is methodological opposition, we do not have an epistemological opposition between these two positions, i.e., everything that can be known is accessible to human beings. So this is the most important thing that we need to carry out from this paragraph. Asante.
Thank you. Karibu. Let's go to Brother Joseph. Are you in a position to share what you understand from that paragraph? Brother Joseph, if you're not in a position, just say pass and allow a pass.
No, I say I'll pass for now. I'm doing a little eating. I'm hungry. I've been working all morning.
Okay, thank you. I have some nice meal for yourself. Okay, let's get to Sister Ida might be leaving. Sister Ida, can you share something before you leave, or you're not in a position to do that?
I am, but I'm not sure that I really that it's really sunk in yet. So I think I will leave it and just say thank you to Brother Carrington for what he said so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ida. So, comrades, this is what you do. We go around and ask you to share what do you understand from this paragraph. So we ask you just to share what you understand from them. Then you move to the next paragraph. That's what you do. That's what you usually do. Brother Michael X, are you here, please? Okay, Brother Michael, let me go to my list. Let me check. We have Brother Joseph or Brother Coco. How are you? Are you able to share something? Brother Coco?
Hello, comrades.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I think Brother Carrington has summarized it well. We will all remember what empiricism is all about. It's about wanting things which we can measure. It's about emphasis on what can be measurable without giving due regards to stuff which we know or which we believe can happen, or by inference, looking at you all recall that everything comes from matter, and then there will be some secondary byproducts of matter. So empiricism sort of tried to refute that and says we can only accept things which we can measure. And I think in the previous chapter, we will have remembered there were points where Dr. Nkrumah was trying to present some of those arguments against materialism. But here, you can see, as Brother Carrington has said, it's more of methodology. But there are some limits in here where they somehow meet. There are some intersections between the two. Empiricism and rationalism. Rationalism, in my mind, is understanding and using your rationale. And it doesn't have to be measurable in the same sense as what you expect under empiricism. And empiricism is usually used a lot, I think, in quantitative analysis, where you have to back up your assertions, your hypothesis, sort of try to disprove that a null hypothesis exists. So in here, we are told that in the great schemes of things, there are some parallels between the two. There are some intersections, and I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, as you say, the text is talking about empiricism, which is a way of gaining knowledge through our senses and experience, rather than through reasoning or speculations. So that's what the text is talking about. So let's get to the next speaker. Welcome, Brother Kwame, our chair. Feel most welcome. Let's get to the next speaker. Let me check on my list. Brother Isaac Baudu, or Baudu. I know you are having. Oh no, so you are. Can you kindly share your thinking, please? What do you understand with the paragraph? Brother Michael, that's Brother Michael, who is microphone is on. iPhone 57.
Yes, Brother Michael. I'm just going to change my name over.
Okay, thank you. I'd call upon you sometimes, but I think you are having. Okay, so let's get to Brother Isaac. Brother Isaac, Brother Kwame, feel most welcome. Brother Isaac, please share with us your thinking. Okay, you can say pass if you're not ready. Let me get to Sister Pamela, then Brother Simon Chibi, or Shibi. Sister Pamela, if you're not ready, just tell me pass. Sister Pamela, okay.
Yeah, pass, please. Sorry about that, pass.
Okay, thank you. Let's get to Brother Simon Shibi. Can you share with us what you understand from the text?
Thank you. Yes, when we are reading from that text, you see, it's quite so powerful that it gives two perspectives of looking at things. That we have the spiritual, where we can believe what we cannot see. Then we have the material thing where we only believe what we can see. So this is where, when we are looking from the colonist perspective, when they were coming to us, they always want to say what you cannot prove to be existing is not existing. But from our own perspective, because we have our spiritual methods of praying and all that, so those were the way they tried to divert the Africans from the way they were doing things, so that whatever you cannot see, whatever you cannot touch, whatever you cannot feel does not exist. At the same time, they only bring their own motion of what existed, so that we were occupied with their motion, trying to know their motions, while they loot what was our material things, which will make us to be what we are as Africans. So through our existence, through our surroundings, so we were we were forced to do a lot of trying to think and trying to despise ourselves, the way we live, the way we were doing things, so that we were made to believe whatever we're doing was wrong. What's right is what we are to learn. And in the process, we let go our freedom, we let go what we're holding on, our resources, so that they tap from our resources. And they encourage us to share what we have, so that they reason with us. So that is what they were saying, this is real, and we should share what we have. So because of that, that is why, as Africans, we lost a lot of things during that one. So we are looking at that paragraph, encouraging that as a human, what we believe in, we should also hold to that, because that is what is God-given. What we have, either what we believe in and what we are seeing, both are in existence in our African community or African society. That's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Simon. Brother Komi, if you feel to come in to explain anything, feel free to come in. You should be allowing your microphone on, maybe unless there's noise around you. Brother Michael. Brother Michael, are you able to share something, or should we pass? Just feel free to share in regards to the paragraph highlighted. Okay.
Sorry, passed at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Father Waiguru Kuntakinte, are you able to share something in regards to the paragraph highlighted? If you haven't grasped it, then we can just say pass so that we allow you to come later. But can you able to share something in the paragraph highlighted in regard to empiricism? Father Waiguru?
Thank you, comrade. Although I'm not in a very good network, I don't know whether you can get me.
Yeah, I can get you. Are you safe where you are?
I am very, very safe. I'm at the village. The place is very okay. We are very
It's
safe.
not flooded.
No.
Okay.
We are not experiencing.
Okay.
So
Okay,
anyway, I've read the paragraph. Yeah, it's very, very enlightening and very powerful. And even coincidentally, I just got in the class when my brother there was sharing, and I felt like he really expressed it very, very well. I felt like, hey, wow, that was he's really a teacher. You know, a teacher is able to bring what is on the book to the mind. So he has really helped me understand. I didn't get his name, but one of the brother who shared very, very, very well about the paragraph. On my part, I want to go back to my school when I was doing philosophy, and we did a lot about these European philosophers. And sometime later, now I go back to my notes, I realized that there are so many things that were really like it was scripted, or there's some kind of an ideology they wanted to put in my head. When I say about my school, that was in the seminary where we go for 10 years. to not really to learn or to have a lot of knowledge, but so that they can keep repeating one thing for a
There's a
long
lot
time.
of notification vibration from your phone. You can mute on your WhatsApp notification sound so that you don't get the vibration.
Okay. Yeah, they are really coming. I don't know how. Okay, can somebody come in? I try to do that and go back.
Okay, just work on that and then you'll be back with us. No problem. Father Waiguru is actually our Catholic father who went to the seminaries to do all the work of being a father and the training. But he came out to form more of like an independent church, which is independent from the seminaries and allows wedding and marriages around each other. So he's a father of the so-called independent or liberated Catholic that is preaching this gospel to the people where he actually administers. Thank you. Let me get to last comrade here who wasn't shared also. Comrade, who is this? Okay. Comrade Raspala, welcome from South Africa. Oh, we hope you've recovered a bit from the shock you had, but we wish you well as to your family. Comrade Gada John, you are a new member to our class. Are you having something to share with us in regards to the paragraph? Comrade Gada John?
Hi.
Hi. Welcome, sister.
Thank you. I don't have much, but from a spiritual perspective, I just want to comment on something you said that we can access everything from within. Yes, that's I believe, because we have something called Akashic record, which is it's somewhere in the universe where you can access it by if you vibrate at a higher some frequency, and all our ancestors is within us in our DNA. So we have like millions of years of information in our DNA, and that's what they call the Akashic record. Yeah, I believe like everything is started as a thought. You got to think about it first, and then you can manifest it into the physical reality. So yes, everything in this world exists in our mind. It just how we can access those, it depends on how we are vibrating in our frequencies. That's what I want to add. Thank you.
Brother Kwame, can you come in maybe to respond to that, if you are able? Brother Kwame?
Thank you. So, I mean, in this class, I mean, we all share our thoughts. And so we share our thoughts as Brother Pigeon is doing, going from one person to the other. And when you share your thought, you are free to share whatever you think, and others share their thinking. It doesn't mean that because you've shared your thought. So when you share your thoughts on anything, so when we all share our thoughts on something, because we all have a right to think for ourselves, and it's very important that we affirm this right to think for ourselves. It used to be denied us. We were not even allowed to read or write, and so on. And so our thinking was curtailed within the confines of the social milieu of the time. But when you share your thinking, on something, and we're all free to shout, it doesn't follow that every thinking is right. So you are free to think what you like, but it doesn't mean what you're thinking is right. So for example, you can think that 1 and 1 is 4. It doesn't mean that you are right. And somebody else may say that, well, 1 plus 1 is 3, and he or she also is not right. And then somebody will say, well, 1 and 1 is 2. And then you may say, well, that is right. And somebody will say, well, it's only right because of the way we define 1. If you divide 1 as a unit, and a unit representing 100, then 1 plus 1 is 200, and so on and so forth. So we have to recognize that even though we're all sharing our thinking, it doesn't mean that our thinking is right. I mean, to say that materialism believes only what it sees and so on, it's not correct. That is not true. You know, I think Simon Chibi, I heard him say that. I'm not saying that to put him down or anything, and we don't do that in this class. In this class, we respect everyone's thinking, but you must be prepared to hear alternative viewpoints. So I've heard the term spirituality, spiritualism, and all that. I'm not sure what it means, and we don't know what it means. The position, the Pan-African position, not the liberal, not the conservative, but the radical Pan-African position, which is based on this book, is that matter is the primary reality. It is from it that everything else evolves. And matter means, for example, space and time. That's all part of matter. Yeah? And matter includes the air we breathe, which none of us can see. And yet we breathe it in and it sustains us. In that air we breathe are different gases, you know, which can be separated through mechanical means. So you can separate oxygen from the air. Oxygen alone, you can separate it from the gases. When we breathe in, it is the oxygen in the air that our body requires. But we don't see it. So it's not right to say that materialism believes only what it sees. You know, there are sounds that we cannot hear. And I'm sure you've come across this argument that sound, our ears can only hear sound that is of a certain hertz. Beyond that, we cannot hear. I mean, as we're all here in this class, the earth on which we sit is rotating at a very, very fast speed. And it is revolving around the sun. Now, it makes sound. Yeah, it's called the music of the spheres. It makes sound, but we can't hear it because of the hertz. So our ears can only hear certain sounds. So you can't say that matter is only what we only believe what we hear. There are things we don't hear, but we believe, even though we are materialists. The materialist position is a scientific position. It's not to say that science has all the answers. Yeah. So I just thought I should clarify that. If what we had was so powerful, how come we were dominated by the enemy? If we were so powerful, we could hear, we could tune ourselves into the universe at higher vibrations, How come they came and they colonized us and took and stole our land, stole our diamonds, stole our this, and they still do? In fact, before that, they stole our people. They stole our brothers and sisters. Of course, sometimes with the connivance of some of our own brothers and sisters. So I think let's be Pan-Africanism argues that if we have to take back the land that has been stolen from us, the diamonds, the gold, and so on and so forth, if we are going to take those back, those are material things. They are not spiritual things in the spiritual sense. I mean, gold is a yellow, or stone. If I may put it that way, it's a metal. It's matter. It's been stolen from. If you want it back, no amount of spiritualized prayer is going to bring it back. If we want to use mundane things, no amount of prayer will suddenly enable all our daughters to stop walking to the riverside and fetching water so that men can have their bath. or so that boys can have their bath, because they don't go to the stream to fetch water. It's only the girls that go. We can pray all we like, but will that make sure that our girls stop going to the stream? Disadvantaged, they can be in school in some cases, and they have to be the ones that go to the stream to fetch water, to be in the kitchen and be cooking, whilst the boys are somewhere else playing. You see, so Pan-Africanism, this class is a Pan-African class aimed at the liberation, unification, and the development of Africa. Right? And the way we can take Africa back is through science and logic. Of course, we say that matter is primary, but we don't say that it's the only reality. Of course, there is something called the unseen, or the spirit, if you like, or the spiritual. We don't doubt that. Of course there is. We're not against it, but it has its place. It has its place. And we certainly are not saying that when our people go to church and they are praying, they are stupid, or they are silly, or that they are idiots. We don't say that, because that's rude. You can't say that about people. You have to you have to show respect to people. Even if they are wrong, you still have to respect them. If you think they are wrong, then you have to convince them with counter arguments where it is possible. There are some beliefs that you can't change people. That's what they believe, and you can't change them, however much you try. You can change some of them, but not all of them, and so on and so forth. So we only say that matter is primary, and that out of matter, through something called categorical conversion, everything else is. Right. So, I mean, when the sun we know is part of the galaxy, is moving with the galaxy, but the Earth is revolving around the sun. When the Earth is revolving around the sun, has the Earth got a mind to say, I'm revolving around the sun so that these people can have sunlight, and so I can change the weather so that they can have rain. I mean, are we saying that the Earth thinks? And so on. So I'm only saying this because of some of the comments I've heard so far. That is not to doubt that these things exist, but to put them within context. So matter is primary, yes, but it's not the only reality. But out of it comes everything. But matter, let's be clear, I am talking about matter as understood by science. The idea that it is atoms, it is the water we drink can be broken down to two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, and hydrogen and oxygen themselves, arise from a previous matter, and that they were, if you like, created in the middle or in the heart of stars, and that we as human beings are a reflection of the universe, materially, that is, of the universe in which we live, and so on and so forth. So Pan-Africanism is about the attainment of the liberation, unification, and development of Africa. The book we are looking at is a book that was put together. I'm saying this for the benefit of some of us here who are new. The book we are reading is a book put together by the foremost freedom fighter in African history, called Osagifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. From 1945 in Manchester, in England, when all of them left and went to fight for the independence of their colonies. Banda went to Malawi. Others like Zik, they were in Nigeria. Nkrumah went to the Gold Coast. Others went to this and to that. Yeah. Now, when they went back, they went to fight. From that time, even before that, all the way to the 19th century, for the first Pan-African Conference, that was initiated by our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, right? Throughout 1945, throughout to 1957, when the Gold Coast became Ghana, in addition to other territories like Transvaal Togoland, all the way to 1964, beyond that, 66, 67, 68. That whole thinking, the thinking that went to the liberation of Africa, that which made us to understand that unless we unite and develop, unless we unite, we can't develop Africa. And unless we liberate Africa, we can't unite. You know, that we have to get rid of the balkanized African states and so on and so forth. You know, that whole thinking, philosophy, if you like, has been brought together by the foremost freedom fighter, Sajifo himself, into this book. And he's offered it to us. Now we can read it. I remember some years ago, you can't even get this book to read. Even to buy it was difficult. It was just not around. It was very scarce. You know? Because those of you who know, when Nkrumah was about 1966, they banned his books. And it was a criminal offense to even carry his picture in Ghana at the time. So we have this book. And so this is the book we are reading. And what our argument is that the reason the Pan-African struggle has stalled is because those who have come after do not have a philosophical outlook. And because they have no philosophical outlook that can enable them to liberate, unite, and develop Africa, we are still where we are. Museveni of Uganda will talk about the fact that he thinks Nkrumah is wrong and that he wants Africa to unite. But let's start with East Africa, he says. He's been president for how many? Over 30 years. What has he done to unite even East Africa? Nothing. So all they do is talk. Yeah, and we know why they talk and can't do anything, right? Because you can't solve a problem with that we created the problem in the first place. The philosophy that balkanized Africa, that made them to divide Africa into states, which we have inherited, which is a philosophy of imperialism underpinned by liberalism and conservatism. You cannot use that to liberate Africa. It will not work. You know, it will not work. That's why we need a new outlook. And the problem we've had, if you look at across the whole continent, you have liberals and conservatives in office. From Swaziland to Morocco to Ghana, wherever, they're all liberals and conservatives. They have no clue what to do, right? And that's because the liberal and conservative outlook cannot move Africa forward. So we are offering this book to us so that we can see what is required. But we certainly have to move from this notion that somehow we're special, we have some spiritual dimension to us that was so special, and the white man came and then somehow we lost it, and we are where we are. If only we can get back that spirituality, that spiritual dimension of ourselves, somehow that may be so. But we are dealing with diamonds and gold and land and cocoa and cash and human beings. These are all matter. So we need a material philosophy to liberate us. When we are done, then we can pray and thank whoever helped us to do so.
Thank you.
I will pause there for now.
Thank you. So permit me to get to Brother Michael before we continue the path renew. I was about to share my thinking. I don't know if Brother Kwame did so, and I've got internet interference, but let me get to Brother Michael. Brother Michael, can you share your thinking in regards to the paragraph? And maybe something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the last speaker, he spoke into some really, profound things, and the sister before who spoke, and we have to understand how was Africa conquered? How did they conquer it? When did it begin? Did it begin when in 1555, when the white man went into Africa and we was taken? That's the official date of our slavery, our capture. No, it started centuries before then, when Alexander, the so-called Great, went in and conquered the upper part of Europe. He sacked the libraries, right? Why did he do that? Why didn't he go further? I mean, he wouldn't have got any further, but his objective was that if I cut off all knowledge, right, centuries later, my people can come and eventually we'll be able to conquer them. I mean, what's an Arab? An Arab is half white, half black, right? They were sent in, you know, with the Arab slave trade to conquer, you know. And then, you know, the English, John Hawkins, when he went into Africa, and he was studying Africa, he was studying us, right? And he found out what our weakness was. Remember, we didn't know who he was. The Filipinos wouldn't even allow him to land. Lapu-Lapu was killing them. As soon as they saw them, he knew who they were. And he killed them, right? Eventually they got, you know, with numbers, they came with the Spanish. The Chinese and Japanese banished them for centuries. Anyone with round eyes was killed because they knew who they were. You know, we didn't know who he was. That's why we allowed him in. That's why a brother was telling me a story about in Ghana, you see white men walking the beach with little girls, right? Little girls holding hands. In the Philippines, you'd be killed.
Okay, comrade.
Right? No, let me finish, right? Because it's all part of it. We don't know who they are still, right? Right? And you know, the Africans have been put back to zero. The spirituality is very key. I mean, the brother spoke about prayer. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she was told she can never have children, ever, because she had an ectopic pregnancy and she only had one tube. They said she can never have children. So her and her husband, they met with their priest and they said, we want to adopt. And their pastor said to them, all right, before you do that, let's do a prayer. And they prayed. My daughter has 3 children now. Now, you know, I can't deny what, you know, that experience. With my ex-wife, right? She was due to have a cesarean on the 22nd of December, 20 years ago, right? Because the baby was breech, right? And it was, we turned up at the hospital and they sent a surgeon who had just left the party, Christmas party. And this woman was angry. And I remember holding my wife at the time in my arms, and I was praying to Allah, don't let this woman touch my wife. Praying, sincere prayer, right? My wife says I want to push. And I said to the midwife, she said she wants to push. And they said, no, it's impossible. So they checked and they said that the baby's turned round, right? And she had a normal birth. Everybody I've spoken to says that's an impossibility. One of them dies, if not both of them. Either the child dies or the mother dies. The baby just doesn't turn round like that in those final stages. Because, you know, Allah answered a sincere prayer from me. And I'm in gratitude forever, because it spared my son and my wife at the time. We went on to bring 4 more children in the world for me. You know, so there's that spirituality is key. And of course, science is usually proving what's real, right? It's not necessarily theory. A lot of the stuff that we have is theory. Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Einstein theory. You know, until it's proven, it's not a fact. Science deals with facts. We say that God is a master scientist. He doesn't do magic tricks, right? Everything in our universe has an order, right? The earth, brother said, does the earth think? It doesn't have to think. It's following a universal order. Like a cow. A cow can only be a cow. A dog can only be a dog. A cat can only be a dog. A monkey can only be a monkey. It follows their natural order. Human beings are the only ones who've got free will, right? And we've seen how we've abused that free will, where we think we can do and be whatever we want to be. I want to be a woman today, or a woman wants to be a man today. you know. So with that free will, you know, there's responsibility, you know. So
Kindly, comrade,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I yield.
kindly comment to the paragraph. Yeah, I appreciate the information you provided, but can you comment to the paragraph before so that we can move to the next paragraph, please?
Yeah, are you asking me, Brother Pigeon?
Yeah, if you want to come into the paragraph, kindly comment,
Yeah,
Brother Joseph.
I'm going to make my contribution now. When I first was asked, I was eating, I was too hungry. Anyway, to me, empiricism and is really more based in materialism, whereas rationalism is based on idealism. And as it says, the antagonism between the two, where especially in the former, empiricism sought to make everything fall within it. I think what is very clear is that you can't, I mean, understand life in its fullness without the two. It's like with, as we said in the past about the thesis and the antithesis, the dialectics is continuing. And but there's a tendency for some of us to take one and try to make it the sole or the main tool of explaining life and how life functions and so on. I think it's important that the both empiricism and rationalism are crucially important in terms of bringing a holistic understanding of life. So, to me, this is the continuation of dialectic. So, clearly, but I think sometimes we should stick to the topic. I mean, to the essence of the
Thank you.
paragraph.
Thank you, Brother Joseph. Yes, the text to my side, because more people have been joining us as we move along, and we'll be catching up as we move to the next paragraph when new people have been joining us. But you're reading the paragraph on the screen, the highlighted paragraph. And we ask you to read it and share what you understand out of that paragraph. To me, this text is talking about, as I'd said before, empiricism, which actually is a way of gaining knowledge, but this through senses and experience, rather than, as I'd said before, reasoning or speculations. Reasoning. Empiricism is seen as a different, of course, from rationalism, as he's trying to say here, which relies on logic and reason. The text here, to me, suggests that empiricism is based on idea that we can know is limited to what we can experience through our senses. That the only thing you can know is what you've experienced. So if you've never experienced that, you cannot know it exists. So basically, your understanding is based on your experience. So if you've never experienced anything else, it doesn't exist, which is very funny a bit. Because, for example, if you have experienced being a man, so you being a woman doesn't exist to you because you've never experienced being a woman, you see. But it also takes it to another aspect that, as I see it, is limited actually. In other words, our understanding of reality is tied to what we can see or what we can hear, touch or taste and smell. This means that, to me, that our perception of reality is shaped by our sensory experience, whatever we can sense and the rest. So overall, my take is that the text is saying that empiricism, like rationalism, is a way for humans to understand their place in the world. Of course, by focusing on what we can sense and experience. It also emphasizes the importance of sensory impression in shaping our understandings of reality. So that's what I wanted to share. Brother Kwame, can you share your comment in this paragraph before I move to the next paragraph? That other members will share their comments.
Yes. So the question is, why does a paragraph deal with empiricism and rationalism? Why? What is it seeking to tell us as Africans? Because remember, this is put together by an African. So who was fighting for the liberation, unification, development of Africa? So what is the message here? Let's remember that empiricism and rationalism, in the way in which we know it today. So the highest empirical science is physics. Yeah, physics is, if you like, the best example of how to do empirical science. There are other sciences, yes, and then there are social sciences, but empiricism is physics. And then rationalism, the highest is mathematics. So between them, physics and mathematics represent, if you like, the best or the highest or the best example, if you like, of how to do, how to be an empiricist, that is a physicist, how to be a rationalist, that is mathematics. But why is this being raised now? It's being raised now because in the previous paragraph, we were dealing with the purposes of life. So what was the purpose of life before the rise of these ways of looking at the world? So the purposes of life, as we saw, was that you live, you farm, you go to your farm, and you planted crops, you harvested them, you fed your family. The land may belong to the family, the clan, whoever, but you had access to the land. And if you were not farming, maybe you were a hunter and you went out, you hunted animals, you brought the hunted animal back to the town, the village, the family, you shared it. Or you went roaming because you don't want to plant crops. But hey, you can go into the jungle. There are mangoes, there are pawpaws, there are ready-made food that nature has provided. So you don't even need to cook, just help yourself to them. And this essentially was how we lived. And when we went into agriculture, we started planting crops. Sometimes the rains will fail. And then when the rain fails, because you are dependent on the rain to fall for you to have that maize farm or that cassava farm or that whatever farm. But then the rain might fail. But then the rain is coming from the sky. So there must be somebody in the sky that is responsible for the rain. So why don't you perform a sacrifice to ask this person who is in the sky, who maybe he or she is crying, that's what the rain is, the tears of that person. And so we had to then perform sacrifices and so on. And if there is no rain, maybe this person is angry with us. That's why there's no rain. So why don't we pacify this person? And so on and so forth. But then hang on, you can't just approach this person. Out of that came a dedicated group of people called the priests, and their job was to speak to this person on your behalf, because you cannot just speak to that person. So that was the job of the priests, to plead on behalf of the nation to the deity, however you conceive the deity, whether it's a master scientist, like Brother Michael has said, whether it's some kind of vibration in the sky, as the sister said, or whether it's some kind of thing that you can communicate with through prayer or whatever. So the priest had to do that. And this was no different in Europe. This was no different in Europe. And the Europeans are basically Africans who left Africa and went there. Yeah. So the early Europeans, as you know, were Africans. So it was no different. So life, that was what life was about. And so you can't produce mangoes, take to the market, sell the mangoes, and then you lived on the produce. You couldn't do it. You can only barter, because in those days there were no markets, there was no money, if you like, where you sell only for money. You take the money to the market, you buy what you like. Those things came later. So when the European Renaissance came, that is when these two things we are referring to arose. Why? because empiricism essentially, if you like, is saying, empiricism and rationalism are saying that why don't we depend, okay, why do you have to depend on the priest for anything? Why can't we depend on ourselves? Why can we not depend on ourselves? Why can society not depend on itself? Why can't we depend on the brothers and sisters who constitute society to do research, to find out facts, to find out concepts, to find out ideas, to find out procedures, to find out whatever it is that we think we need? Why can't we do it ourselves? Why can't we, as Brother Coco would say, farm thought? Because I did say to Brother Coco that the way he puts it is the same in my language as well. That when you are thinking, we say you are farming. So thinking in my language is farming. And so why can't we have brothers and sisters farming thought? And then when you farm thought, it's like a palm tree. It will grow, it will yield fruits, and so on. So empiricism and rationalism came out of that. But remember that the Europeans lived in what they call the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages, some have interpreted it in two ways. Either the Dark Ages to mean that the people of color, or the Africans, or those with color, they were dominating the universe, the planet at the time. Hence, they were called the Dark Ages. The dark people, if you like, dominated the world. And I think history shows that that was true. So that is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is to say that because they had no light, the Europeans did not have light. They didn't live by the light of science and of mathematics and of technology and so on. They were in the dark in that sense. So, and this happened, hundreds and hundreds of years. And it was only when they rediscovered the classical, if you like, knowledge that the Africans had passed on. That is when that was the root. Sorry, let me, Brother Pigeon, can you mute Sam, or should I do it? I'll ask Sam to mute him or herself. So that is where this is coming from. So empiricism, as Brother Pigeon has explained, is saying that, look, why don't we seek knowledge through our experience? Yeah. So why don't we seek knowledge that way? And rationalism is saying that, why don't we use the light of our reason to seek knowledge? In other words, we can get knowledge, we can find knowledge through empiricism, or the empirical sciences, if you like, and we can have knowledge through thinking, or through reasoning, or rationalism, if you like. So that is what this paragraph is telling us. But why? Because remember that philosophy always goes with transformation. You see, if you want to change the world, you have to change it through philosophy. By philosophy here, we mean your perspective, how you see the universe. That is how you see the universe, including the universe of man and women, if you like, how you see the society in which you live. If you want to change it, you have to change it through philosophy. Yeah. So in other words, philosophy goes with society. Every society has a philosophical underpinning. It is not always uttered, it's not always made clear, because sometimes the elites try to hide it from the people, because they want to dominate the people, so they pretend that what they are saying has no basis in philosophy. You understand? But every society has a basis in some kind of philosophy. So when man and women, by the way, lived through farming, through going into the bush to look for food, through fishing, hunting, it coincided with a particular type of philosophy. That philosophy was a philosophy, you might call it religious philosophy, where you pray to the gods if there was no rain, or you pour libation to the ancestors so there will be rain, and so on and so forth. So that coincided with that kind of philosophy. What this is telling us is that as society changed, so did the philosophy. And as you know, it began to change when they discovered our wealth. Because they sent people from Portugal. Some of you know the history more than I do. They heard that in Africa somewhere there was a land of gold, gold and so on. So they came looking for it. And some of it they found by accident when the Mediterranean route was closed. So they had to find a way via Cape Town in South Africa, to go to the Far East. And that is where they had to, birth at the shores of what is now Cape Town, the Cape of Good Hope, I think it was called. And then they would ask for water from the natives, water and food and so on and so forth. And then they discovered all this wealth, and so on. So if you discover wealth, if you discover diamond, then it changes how you think. If you have a lot of money, those who don't have a lot of money sometimes do not respect money. But if you have a lot of money, for example, you have in your bank account, say 5 million United States dollars, it changes you completely. I don't know if you know that. It will change you. The way you see the world will be different. When you look at things, you see them differently. If you stand in front of a shop that sells cars, you can see that you can buy all those cars. It changes you completely. But if you don't have that kind of money, then you can begin to say, oh, money is the root of all evil. And that's because you don't have it. But if you have it, it changes your thinking. So I'm just saying that when society changes, so does the philosophy. And so what we are reading here, empiricism and rationalism, it's saying that these ways of looking at the world arose because there was a change in how human beings began to relate to the universe in which they lived. I'll pause there. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it says that during the European Renaissance, in the next paragraph, when man gained an increased appreciation of his personal and individual dignity and freedom, philosophy responded with disquisitions.
Yeah. Can I just say something so that you continue reading, so that I make the link for everyone listening? So during the European Renaissance, man gained an increased appreciation of his personal and individual dignity and freedom. Why? Because man now became the center of the universe, not the Christian God, not the Christian God in this instance. Man is, so this was the birth of humanism, as it's called. So man herself or himself became the center of the universe of man, not unseen forces and so on. Yeah. So that is what you say now. Now, if you have a child and you treat that child as if that child is important and matters, that child will get confidence in him or herself and will appreciate how important he or she is to mom or dad, and will have confidence and can begin to have certain conversations that a dominated child wouldn't. I'm basically trying to say that the moment man became the center of the universe, man began to believe in the power of man, and therefore the personal, suddenly there was dignity, there was freedom. Why was there freedom? Because now the church wasn't in the way. Because before, the church would tell you how you should live, where you should live, when you should come to the church to pray, when you shouldn't come to pray, when you should go to the farm, when you should come and pray. Everything was regulated, even where you lived. In England, here where I am, people lived in wards, and they knew who lived where. You can't just leave your ward in, say, I don't know where I am, then go to a different ward. It doesn't work like that. People, you told where to live and so on. Life was really regulated. And so we had no freedom. Man had no freedom. Yeah. And there was no dignity because you didn't matter. What mattered, who mattered was the priest and God. You know, those were the two things that mattered. You did not matter. You know, you did not know, not at all. You did not matter. Who are you? You don't matter. You know, you don't matter. You are a sinner. You were born in sin. You know, I remember what David said, in sin was I conceived by my mother, you know, and so on. So you are a sinner, born in sin, forever will live in sin unless you were saved by in the Christian theology, by the blood of Jesus and so on. So you are nobody. You are just a sinner who is there to give to God and to give to the priest. And then when your time is up, even the priest will have to pray for you if you will go to heaven, you know, and so on. So man had no dignity, but suddenly man had dignity, freedom, and so on. So this is how philosophy, as Brother Pigeon read, then responded, because now a new philosophy was coming about, and people began to challenge the priests and to say, you cannot be telling us this and that. But the biggest problem for the religious view, as I explained earlier, is the center of the universe the sun or the earth? You see, does the sun rotate around the earth, or does the earth rotate around the sun? The church said that the sun rotated around the earth. Yeah, and the new people, the empiricists and rationalists, you know, the Galileos and so on, said no, it's the other way around. The earth revolved around the sun. So we had two contradictory worldviews. Which one is right? The church or the scientists? And so you can see the fight that ensued. In the end, the church lost the argument because the empiricists and rationalists were able to explain and show that their new view, which is called the heliocentric universe, as opposed to the church's view, which is a Jew-centric universe. They showed that their view was correct, and they were able to explain a lot of things. So that is how the church lost. And when the church lost its authority, then the scientists rose and became more authoritative. Some will say too much, because now they also talk a lot of nonsense, like they want AI to control all of us, and that kind of nonsense, which is hardcore materialism. But we'll come to that later. So, Brother Pigeon, I thought I'll make that link for us.
Okay.
And then you can continue reading. Yeah.
So let me finish the paragraph, then people can come in to share their thinking. So it says that during the European Renaissance, when man gained an increased appreciation of his personal and individual dignity and freedom, philosophy responded with disquisition of the nature of natural rights and connected ideas. Philosophy attempted to provide principles which should inform any political theory, if it is to conform to the Renaissance conception of man. Nor had philosophy in this departed from its early character. At every stage between Thales and modern times, philosophy was firmly geared onto what were, for the time being, conceived as primary concerns of life.
Precisely.
Thank you. So, can anybody? I saw Brother Michael's hand was up. Kindly, if you can share your thinking in regards to the paragraph, please. Let's stick to the reading. Brother Michael, please come.
Okay, I mean, my thing is, what was the philosophy? What was the philosophy then? If philosophy was the key thing, and the Greeks, where did they get their philosophy from? They didn't get it from themselves. They got it from Egypt, right? So what did they go and learn in Egypt that transcended them and create their philosophy? The Renaissance and the Dark Ages, as the brother was talking about, was when the Renaissance, when the Moors came in from Africa and brought enlightenment to Europe. The Dark Ages, when they had the Black Death, the plague, right? And they didn't wash. They were dirty. They blamed the rats, but it was the fleas. Where did the fleas come from? They didn't wash, right? The church, right? Anyone like you talk about the witches, because this is all part of what philosophy was brought the West into the Dark Ages. Was the church, like women who were healers, or anyone who was a healer was deemed as a witch and was burnt because the priest couldn't heal no one. His job was just to control the people. So when they killed the witches, they killed their cats. They reckon about 50 million cats were killed. Well, cats, what's the job of a cat? It's to kill pests, rodents. So my thing is, what's the philosophy? What's the philosophy that turned China around from being a colonial puppet to England and the West? What was the philosophy? What was Mao's philosophy?
Okay.
And basically, how Mao won the people over was that, when he was battling against the enemy, he didn't steal from the people. He paid the people, so the people grew to love them, because everyone else had just stolen, taken from them. And but again, what was philosophy? Do unto others as you want done to yourself. Treat someone, don't allow no one to abuse you. The truth or the clear path is distinct. Do what's right. Honor thyself, honor thy mother and thy father. Was the philosophies that they took, right? Because they didn't show us that philosophy when we were enslaved, when they enslaved us, right? We were less than that. So their philosophy was white supremacy. They could do what they want to the world, right? And with the consent of the church. Scientists only came in. Anyone who's, Nietzsche, all those ones had to stand down when the church was saying that the world was flat. It was only, where would you say the last, 100 years, would you say that scientists began to have more of a say because the church was losing its power? Not because of the scientists, because people realized that you're just liars and hypocrites. How many sex offenses is the Catholic Church been accused of over the centuries? And not just the Catholic Church, but all the religions. All those abuses. So people began to see that these people are not what they say. Why did Martin Luther have such a fight to change the religion, to change the language from Latin to German, so everyone could understand it? Because they didn't want the people to know, because not many people could speak Latin at the time. So my thing is, what was the philosophy?
Thank you. No, the question is what was the philosophy? And of course, I'll ask if Brother Kwame will be able to respond to this. But we started by Nkrumah saying philosophy and theology. Something there was the relation, but the philosophy had its source in theology. But I think it's a word question to get the answer, and I think Brother Kwame will try to respond to this. But here he talks about Thales, and the philosophy for Thales, because there were Thales and Berkeley, and what was their philosophy in regards to this, which of course I think Brother Kwame will respond to this. But we are having, is it 21 minutes to end our class? And therefore, I'll request members to share their thinking, especially those who even haven't shared their thinking all along. You can share your thinking, tell us what you think from the reading of the two paragraphs as we proceed. So let me see, start by Brother Amon. Now that you've been here for the two paragraphs, what can you share in regards to the reading? Brother Amon Bagarukayo, I know you are a new member to our class today. Comrade Amon, if you're not ready, I'm saying.
Yes, members, I think I can be excused for today. I have just started, so but I'm enjoying the class.
Okay, Comrade David McKenna, I know you joined late a bit, but I believe you can have something to share in regards to the paragraph I've read, the highlighted one and the one following. Brother David McKenna. Okay. Okay, Sister Marie, I see you around. Welcome, Sister Marie. I don't know how long you've been here, but you can share something if you have something to share with us in regards to the reading of the paragraph.
Right, sorry, grand rising everyone. I'm afraid that I'm in listening mode today. I've just not too long ago arrived from doing something. So I'm going to pass today, thank you.
Okay, thank you, welcome.
Nice to be here though.
Thank you. Sister Pamela, do you have something to share with us so far now that you've read the two paragraphs? Please feel free.
No, Brother Pigeon. I just want to listen. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Sister John Gada.
Oh, yes. I don't know what to say about the paragraph because I'm still grasping with this because philosophy is given by us by the European philosophy and reasoning and all of that. To me, it's like it puts a wall around your thinking. It's kind of constrained you from going beyond the wall that they've given you. This is how I see it. Just here to listen, and if I have more comment to put, I'll put up my hand.
Thank you for that. Let's get to Brother Raspala. Give thanks, Comrade. Raspala. Brother Raspala, are you in the position to share your thinking with us today? Okay. Comrade Sam?
I'll just listen. I've not really followed the reading that much because I was in and out with the reception when I was driving. So I will listen. But it's pretty interesting what has been said so far with regards to which I'm familiar with, mildly familiar with the civilization, the influence of the Egyptian civilization on the Greek civilization that started the European civilization. So, but I just want to listen. I don't think I want to add anything else. So if you can listen, if I do have any questions later, I can raise my hands.
Okay, thank you very much. Comrade Madodo? Comrade Madondo? Do you have something to share with us, please, from the paragraph we've read today? Feel free.
Oh, many thanks. Many thanks. Salutations to you all dignitaries here present. I'm really enjoying the lecture which is unfolding at this present juncture. I'm also on the listening mode, but my parting question is that is about the timelines. I would like to request the professor or the lecturer to acquaint us with the timelines, especially when they said during the European Renaissance. Would like to historicize it by juxtaposing it with the timelines or calendars. When was this European Renaissance? When now scientists or philosophers began to challenge the supranational or the governing or the tenets of theology. So we would like to request timelines at this present juncture, and also the rise of ancient Greek philosophers. Yes, we have been lectured the Socrates, the Platos, etc. During universities. So would like to get the days when we the heydays. So thanks a lot. I'm quite enjoying. Thanks a lot for this. This is quite very fascinating.
Thank you. Hope the professor have noted that. And we are not in a lecture hall. We are just a group of thinkers who try to share our thinking. So basically, you don't have the teacher, but you are all creating a platform of how can you share your thinking so that you build together our critical understanding and critical thinking together as a team. So, but hope the the professor noted that. Let's get to Father Waiguru. Father Waiguru, what's your summation in the reading of the two paragraphs you shared so far?
Excuse me, Mr. SD.
Yes?
This is Amon. I wanted to chip in.
Yeah, Amon, please.
Yeah, that the last speaker was asking for timeline for when there was a Renaissance. I was trying to tell him that it was from medieval period. It gave Renaissance, industrial time and the Renaissance. So it is around the 1700.
Okay, thank you for that.
Then I wanted to get clarification on philosophy because there is a Eurocentric school of thought which say that there is philosophy, European philosophy, which is about determinism. So and African philosophy of is cosmology, like like in our society here, you could get someone, you could see the leaf falling down, then he say, my son is dead, and he find it is true. Just seeing, like just mere reading some of these surrounding environment, our traditional people could tell you something, some event that it happened. So the African had their philosophy, which was not documented, but it was there.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me get to Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That's noted, and we'll respond to that.
No, did you call on me, Brother Peter?
Yes, Brother Joseph. Please proceed. It's your turn.
Yeah, I think this paragraph explains what, to a great extent, what Brother Kwame said. Like, if you have $5 million in front of you, it would change the concept of yourself and everything in your environment. So, with a new knowledge, a new sense of freedom, I think it's enabled or give a momentum to people to feel emboldened. And remembering also that earlier in an earlier paragraph, we said that philosophy, when to perceive, they perceive philosophy differently, and of course, factors would give rise to that, and the explanation here, I think, is consistent. I think one of the things I'm picking up here, though, is that people are trying to juxtapose this way back when. But we have to understand that life is a sort of forward trajectory, and what our experience has been influenced by the people who evolved through that period, so that they, with their limited stuff, have inflicted the fallout of the experience that they had, the negative experience. So I don't think it's necessary, like, like tend to go back to Egypt and go back to here and there, but to understand how our current level of thinking has been shaped by our experience with those who conquered us. And I think Brother Kwame had asked the question earlier, if we were so, why did, those folk were able to come and conquer us, So these are, because either we had lapsed in the process and our society has sort of went to sleep. The African society, but with all its glory of the past. So understanding how the reemergence of the boldness or the confidence and so on, how this could help you to see things differently. And I think this is what is being attempted by this class, to understand what would it take for the unification, for the liberation and the eventual development of Africa. I think this is what we have to keep at the center of our consciousness.
Thank
Not
you.
so what might have happened to us, but what is needed in this time to level of understanding. And we tend to sometimes run away from having that frame of mind that will help us, or that understanding or way of seeing the world that would help us to reassert who we are as the original people of the earth.
Thank you. Thank you. We are having around 5 minutes to go. So kindly be brief in your presentation and your questions or your contribution. So back to you, Brother Honorable Madondo, before we go to the few members who are remaining on the list. Do you have something? I see your hand is up. Honorable Madondo? Okay. Let me get to DJ Mr. P. DJ Mr. P.
Many thanks. So thanks a lot for the timelines. My question now is what we have been doing as Africans during that time, that period of European Renaissance, because we have been painted or by European scholars. So Eurocentric literature is it that Africa has been a dark continent throughout these ages. So this is quite a period before colonialism. So my question is, at this pre-colonial days, or the time before the advent of colonialism, Africans as Africans,
We are having few minutes. Just straight to your question. We are having 7 minutes, so just a minute.
Okay. Okay, many thanks. Okay, the question is, currently we do not have African tigers, many and also Africa is incapable. We are incapable of having our own invention or of inventing something else, like the Sputnik, or like even we dismally failed. We've got pharmacists, but we dismally failed to come up with the vaccine to the COVID-19, the novel coronavirus. So the question is, what are we doing as Africa? Are we having our own renaissance? Our own renaissance?
Okay.
Even yes.
Please, just be brief. I've got your question.
Removing colonialism. Yes.
Okay.
We possess that a capacity to some Pan-Africanists actually alluded to the effect that we were going to develop in our own manner. We're going to have our engineers in our own manner. But the thing is that it could have been a gradual process.
Okay, comrade, I'll come back to you. I've got your question. We are having few minutes to go. I know We also have a Saturday question where we discuss general African things. This day we only discuss the philosophy. So Thursday is only meant for philosophy. And general conversation on unification development is always on Saturday, but here we link philosophy to practical issues. But thank you for your questions. Brother Kwame, do you want to come in? Because I wanted to give two people a minute, then you wrap up, if that's okay with you. Okay. Yeah. Brother Carrington and Brother DJ Mr. P. Based on the paragraph read.
Yes. So what is happening here, just very quickly, is that European philosophers have displaced God, have displaced religion from the center of existence, as Brother Kwame correctly described. And now you've put human reasoning and human science and human thinking and human measurement on the center as the center of your knowledge universe. So you will turn these methods of rationality and empiricism on human beings and human societies, and this will guide your philosophical development. And this is the basis of what you have had being called as liberalism or liberal philosophy, the idea of reorganizing human societies around human beings. And it is formed on the basis of individualism. Their philosophies now you can consider. Ubuntu philosophy is actually a human-centered philosophy, by the way, but it did not need a renaissance. So anyway, the other general things we can discuss, but this is the core of it. When you start considering human rights and human responsibilities, independent of the philosophies of religion and idealism that had a hold over Europe for thousands of years, what then do you start? How then do you reorganize this society? And this is the rebirth. This is the philosophical basis of the rebirth or the Renaissance. We are seeing this. We see in Europe in that period. I will assert, just as I finish, I will assert that there is such a thing as an African Renaissance. I will reject the notion that Africans are not inventing anything, and we can't say that. And then 10 minutes after this discussion, we go to listen to Amapiano and Afrobeats, and then say we are not inventing anything. We are inventing a lot of culture as we speak, and have been inventing a lot of things for hundreds of thousands of years. So it's a question of how do we channel our creative energies, not just into our culture, but into our science and technology. That is how a rebirth, a renaissance of a culture is born, both in the arts and in the sciences. Thank you.
Mr. P. Please, then come in. Mr. P. Okay. Okay, Brother Kwame, can you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. Listen to Brother Madondo.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. I'm here talking to myself. I didn't sorry to cut you, Kwame. I just saw that I was muted because I heard you calling me, and I'm like talking. I'm saying, why is he still calling me? Yeah, I'm in listening mode today. I will respond to Honorable Madondo what he did say regards us Africans as inventors. We've created almost everything that is used in the world, from for example, very quick examples, the traffic lights is an example. They were created by us. We also were the first people to perform heart surgery and transplants. The vaccine that you spoke of, yeah, I'm sorry, brother, I disagree with you. We first invented vaccines. Not only that, but talking about specifically the COVID vaccine, yeah, we actually had a cure for the COVID vaccine in Madagascar, and I think it's between Madagascar and Tanzania. Yeah, I'm commenting on what you said. So anyway, we've invented many things, Honorable Madondo. So I think you really do need to check the history, the African history of African scientists and inventors, and I yield there.
Yeah, it's fine. Brother Pigeon, I would advise we don't upload this video because the word vaccine has come up again. And yeah, so we won't upload this video.
Sorry, brother, I wasn't aware of that.
It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't win them all. So listen to Brother Madondo. It's not Brother DJ Mr. P. It's not so much that you disagree with him. I think sometimes we don't genuinely know about these things, and so we just have to educate ourselves. So I remember when I was in South Africa in 1994, and if you listen to our brothers and sisters in South Africa and what they went through in the hands of apartheid, they were made to believe that they were nothing, and that black people hadn't created anything, that black people were useless. I mean, they really damaged psychologically, emotionally, spiritually the image of the African in the eyes of the South African black people. So when I was there, you could see in the conversations I had and so on. So there are some Africans who are not aware of the fact that it is not that the white man was there and we were here, or Africans were working on the left-hand side and Europeans on the right-hand side, and then suddenly they created everything and we created nothing and so on. Those are racist views of the universe. And I'll pause there because it's 9 o'clock. I don't want us to go over the time too much.
Sam has his hand up.
I just want to thank this. Yeah, but we need to close because it's 9. The sister who mentioned the fact that philosophy was a prison, I think we should deal with this another time, because I think she's right. Because we dealt with this in the introduction of this book, where you could see philosophy as a kind of prison. It created liberals and conservative prisons. And so thank you for raising that. It's not all philosophy.
That was Garda.
Yeah, it's not all philosophy that creates a prison for you. Some philosophies do, and thank you. Brother Pigeon, I want to pause there because it's 9:01. I don't want us to go over our time.